place at some points in my life.
It's always funny when, I'm still waiting for this day to come, but just that switch gets flipped and you're a mature adult, and it's like, oh, I wish I had this, when I was a lot younger. It's funny
Mhm.
when we get
Yeah.
that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Have you experienced that?
No, I'm still a kid. I'm still no. As much as I try to fight it, I can't. I do miss being young and immature and uh, you know having fun, stuff like that.
I get it.
Uh, man.
I still, in many ways, I still feel like that. I always say I'm a kid.
Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 393. Exciting episode for you guys today. Lots of good things happening in this episode because I have a wonderful guest. But before I talk about my guest, I want to remind everybody to stay safe. Wear a mask if you're going to be outside. Be courteous to yourself. Be courteous to others. And you know what? Take care of each other. We're all human beings sharing this planet, and we deserve to give everybody respect and love. All right? That's all. Once again, continuing the motto of the podcast. But, yeah, so do that. And wear a mask, please. My guest today is a fantastic singer, songwriter, actress, a snack eater. Chantelle Barry is here, and I just had such a wonderful time chatting with her. She is from Australia, so I always love talking to people who are not of American descent, so I can pick their brains about where they grew up, of course. But she also has a music video that she did, a new song, I should say, with a music video that she did during COVID in response to it. It's called Connect. It's available on YouTube, and everyone go watch the video, pick up the song. But I'm done talking because we need to get into this chat with Chantelle. So, you know what? I'm done. So everybody sit back, relax, and Chantelle, take it away. Hi, Chantelle.
Yes. Hi. How's it going?
It's going well. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. How's this connection for you? Everything clear?
Oh yeah, everything's clear. I can hear you, and yeah, it's great.
Brilliant. How's it going? Where are you based?
I am based in San Antonio, Texas.
Mm. I've not made it out there yet, but
you're not missing much.
Is that right?
It's so funny because people who have been here, they're just like, oh my gosh, beautiful, and I'm just always like,
It's funny. That's how I feel about where I'm from as well.
Where
Australia? Yeah, Perth, Western Australia. I mean, it is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but when people visit Perth and they're like, oh my God, I loved Perth. I'm like, really? Wow. That's cool.
So, I mean, I've never been to Australia. It's huge, but I hear it has like the population of California.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay. Just everything is so spread apart.
Yeah. It's very vast. It's huge.
Okay. And was it, and then, speaking from the, the young person in you, were you just like, look, I got to get out of here?
Yes, yes. You mind read. Wow. Yeah. I I always make the joke that pretty much going to a grocery store I needed to go and hop a plane.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that bad, and it's a little bit isolated for sure. Um, and but it was a great place to grow up and everything. No complaints there. But yeah, when it was time for me to leave and when I actually could, I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm done, guys.
I need to work on my wording here, but I always respect the person that's like, you know what, this city is too small for me. I'm gonna go to the next city over, and just kind of stay. Versus the adventures that like, I just need to get out of this place in general.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Which is I totally feel that about I'm just like, I need to get out of Texas. I'm not Texas and I aren't fans of each other, and it's mutual. We both understand.
Right. That's
But
fine.
yeah,
Agree
yeah.
to disagree. I think that's where it's at.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But I grew up in Oregon, so that's why.
Okay. Oh, well,
Yeah,
Oregon, quite beautiful. Whereabouts in Oregon?
Salem.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been to a couple places in Oregon. I love it there. I did.
it's yeah. Well, yeah, it's like growing up, I was I came to appreciate greens and the trees and the nature, and so that stuff sticks to me today. And I'm just like, man, I miss seeing trees that are taller than me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love LA.
Yeah,
It's just, it's a great place for me to be, and it's entertainment. It's the entertainment capital. But yeah, I miss that kind of nature as well. And I know I can go places. Well, I used to be
right.
able to go places to get to that nature, but yeah, now it's like, I'm getting older. Do I need to stay here? Could I go somewhere and just be surrounded by a forest? That sounds beautiful to me.
Right. Well, how long have you been in LA?
Since 2002.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
okay. So about
yes, yeah.
18 years. Yeah, okay. Is there something that you wish was that, you could have brought to LA, like some sort of food or, I don't know,
Oh,
something from Australia?
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Probably. Yeah, I love. It's so funny because I'm a super healthy person, but I love junk food as well.
Mm.
Like I love chips, and Australian chips are the best. Like nothing compares to them. I know it sounds silly because it's just a bag of chips, but the flavors are different. Everything's different about the chips. So
Mm.
I often order. I do like I get peckish at night and I'll get online, just order in the Aussie food shop, and I have a box of chips show up at my door a few weeks later. It feels good. It's a little bit of home here.
What? Yeah. What kind of different flavors are there?
Well, our barbecue is different. So I
Oh,
love
okay.
love barbecue Sandboys. That's a brand of chip. It's just it's not barbecue sauce flavor. When we say barbecue in Australia, we literally mean like putting meat on the barbecue.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, as opposed to, like barbecue sauce and what barbecue is here. So
Right.
I don't know.
It has like a
Well,
smoky flavor to it.
yeah, it's definitely smoky. I don't know what the difference is. I think it's not as sweet, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a little more savory. It's delicious. And then there's another company I just love, Red Rock Deli chips. And it's so funny. I'm such an avid customer of theirs, and I've posted so much on my social media whenever I'm eating their chips that they started sending me boxes of chips.
Hey.
I know. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Yes, thank you.
Free chips isn't bad.
No.
I lived in Canada for a bit, and I would like I venture out to the different foods that are around me. They have hickory sticks there, and of course the ketchup flavored chips and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. I'm not much of a chip guy though in general, so I'm like, it was fun, but I definitely appreciate the different snacks from other places.
Yeah, yeah. They're just interesting, aren't they? Just to kind of see like, oh, that's the norm for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. And you know, I've been asking people this question because we're in a very unique situation now, all of us. As far as being cooped up at home, have you felt that your creativity has gone up?
Um, yeah, I think so. I feel like I'm just as creative as ever, but I have more time or less of this feeling of like, but I got to hustle. I got to do the other stuff,
Right.
So I've been able to really explore my creativity more during this time, and that's been quite a gift.
Hmm. What sort of things have you discovered in your creativity that it's like something new, or just like music, or TV, film?
It's yeah, right. I would say mostly music. Like
Mm,
I started working on, I had this idea for a musical. I'm a big musical theater fan.
mm,
That was where I started out in my career. And I had this idea for a script for a musical. And, come quarantine, I'm like, well, okay, let's see what happens. And the songs have started coming out. And I think it's just, it's not different. It's just the time factor and the that I've allowed
right.
myself to kind of just sit with whatever ideas I have and let them grow into whatever they're going to, So like there's no time constraint, and it's really nice. That's the one part of quarantine I do really really love.
Nice, nice. And when it comes to writing, like I'm fascinated with people who write music. Is there a certain headspace you have to be in, or is it literally you're washing the dishes and boom, I got a song?
Yeah, it's quite literally that. A lot of songs come to me in the shower.
Mm,
Um, and I don't know why, or a lot of times it happens while I sleep as well. I'll wake up immediately out of a dream and I've written a song in a dream, or whatever, or something. Who knows how it is. Maybe it's a song I've already heard and it's dropped into my head and I'm like, wow, that is a song I've just written. But yeah, it's random when I'm driving. Really, really, whatever. I'm a creative person. I feel like we're all creative people at the core. Um, but living in this kind of space with another creative person, and having the gear and the tools at my fingertips, I think that just really supports it. So it makes for a really a good environment to create.
okay. And as somebody who has been writing music for a long time, um, do you ever look back at your previous work and just have fond memories of that person, or do you have this like, I don't know who that person was? They were crazy. I don't know. That was younger me. I'm new and improved now. Do you ever have that disconnect?
Yeah, occasionally I do. I mean, yeah, I'm human. There are many times where I look back at my songs or anything, journal entries. I found
Mm,
a lot of the books during this lockdown time, and just reading and going, wow, I almost don't recognize that person. But I try to be, I try to be really mindful about negative self-talk, even
right,
if it's
right,
the context of that, the old me. I still don't want to be negative about that person because she was just learning and doing the best she
right.
could. And while I do love more where I am now and the person I've really grown into, I can see that I needed to be in a less mature place at some points in my life.
It's always funny when and I'm still waiting for this day to come, but just uh, that switch gets flipped, and you're in a mature adult, and it's like, oh, I wish I had this, when I was a lot younger. It's funny
Mhm.
when we get
Yeah.
that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Have you experienced that?
No, I'm still a kid. I'm still no. As much as I try to fight it, I can't. I do miss being young and immature, and uh, you know, having fun, stuff like that.
I get it.
Uh, man.
I mean, I still, in many ways, I still feel like that. I always say I'm a kid. This is a good bit of info. My dear friend Denny, he runs the Transcendental Meditation Center
Mm.
out here, in LA, and he always says, all kids go to heaven. So anytime you're immature or you're like, I'm just a kid, whatever, it's okay. You will go to heaven.
There
So
we go.
sleep easy.
There we go. All righty. It's just that, yeah, and obviously, again, with everything going on in the world, it's just horrible and terrifying, and I just kind of think, like, man, to be a kid and just be oblivious and worry about my Hot Wheels, that's my biggest concern today about my
Yeah,
Hot Wheels.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I do miss those days. The mind you, I don't have children myself, so I know
mm,
that I have a lot more freedom than many other people in my
yeah.
age category. But we have a dog, and he can be a handful. So um, you know, maybe he's my, I don't know.
Yeah, no, dogs are always the best. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
um, as far as, so do you do meditation?
I do. I do. I started doing transcendental meditation specifically about 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, and I was going through a particularly rough time, dealing with my lack of maturity.
Mm,
Actually, is what it was. And I was driving down from home from an audition one day in traffic, and just super heightened and not feeling awesome.
yeah.
And I was listening to a Deepak Chopra audiobook, and he talked about slipping into the gap by means of transcendental meditation. And these were all foreign words to me. So I looked it up when I got home. And then I looked up the nearest center and I went there that weekend. I learned and I've been meditating ever since.
Oh, that's great. It's
Yeah.
meditation is one of those things that I wish I could, um, get into. I feel like if I had a center near me, which I guess I should Google that,
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be easier for me to slip into that versus me trying to, sit in a chair but I'm so focused on everything around me.
Yeah, I understand. I get that, Chris, when before, like, it took me a while to really get to a point of wanting to meditate at all, but I think I was
Mm,
desperate when I did. But the idea of sitting there and trying to quiet your mind, and
yeah.
who has a spare hour to sit there and pretend they don't have stuff going on in their mind when we're just living. So the thing about transcendental meditation is it's a completely different technique. it's
Mm,
it's not about quieting your mind at all. um, and I think starting at that point, it immediately made me feel like, okay, this might be something I could actually do. um, and it really does help. The
mhm.
first time I meditated, I hoped and expected that it would be this profound experience of like the bottom dropping out and me just like, ah, but it wasn't. It wasn't, and I questioned whether it worked. And now I understand it's just different for everyone. And
Mm,
now that I've had years of practice under my belt, I understand the benefits of it and really feel when I don't meditate. I feel
uh,
what that versus when I do, if that makes sense.
okay. And after meditating for many years, did you notice it affecting your songwriting or your acting work?
Yes, yes, 100%. And that's what my new musical. Gosh, if I could get the words out, my new musical that I'm working on is very centered around meditation and the mind and dreams and those kinds of things. So yeah, it's absolutely influenced my life and my work.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And you mentioned earlier about doing musical theater. Growing up, and I know that acting and music they can go hand in hand. But when did you say, what, I want to get into the acting side, less of the music side?
Uh, I think I studied theater up until I was 18, and then I went to college for 1 year and studied and just majored in musical theater. And while I loved it, I was really made aware that my voice wasn't typically a legit music theater sound. It was very
Mm.
pop, and that's kind of where I started, like as a young girl singing pop music. So I was like, well, I'm not going to quit this. I'll keep going, but I'm going to explore acting as well. So I got a little bit of just the straight acting part in Australia, and then when I moved to LA, it really opened up for me. Um, yeah, and I love it. You know, there's a lot of similarities. Acting is acting, but just these different platforms, I guess, kind of changes certain things.
Mm.
But
It,
feels more or less the same, other than that I don't, you know, I'm not singing my lines.
right, right. That'd be funny. You show up to an audition, you just start singing. They're like,
Right. Yeah.
cool.
Wow. Oh, she's different.
And then I saw that you were doing a lot of voiceover work as well.
Yeah, voiceover has been really, really fun for me. It's actually made me a better on-camera actor, I think. Um, but voiceover, I got into that when I met my husband 13 years ago, and he kind of walked me into his agency, and they took me on as an Aussie, their only Australian voice. And then shortly after, I booked a campaign with an American accent. So things, you know, kind of took off from there. But voiceover has really allowed me to play a plethora of characters
Yeah.
that I wouldn't normally have the chance to play on camera. Just, you know, because of how I look or what, or where I'm from, whatever, all those kinds of things. So it's really opened my mind and the doors. And um, most recently, I don't know if you're a gamer, but I play the villain Ghost in Marvel's Iron Man
Right.
VR. That was like, that is the role of a lifetime. It was so much fun.
Is it, you know, again, for voice acting, since you're in a booth, do you find that you have to work, you know, a little bit harder to imagine yourself, you know, in kind of the ghost armor and all that?
Yeah, for sure. There's more work in that regard, the imagination kind of stuff. But it's not difficult. It's working a little bit harder or a little bit differently than I usually would, but it's not difficult. It's all still part of the work and the process for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as character work, are you, you know, the type that, you know, let's say you're doing an intense character,
Mhm.
it's going to be a downer of a character because of all the situations that happen. Are you able to just get your, like, okay, that's a cut, and then you're out of that character, or does a character stay with you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I talk about this with my friends a bunch. It kind of depends. For the most part, you know, I'm not a method actor in terms, like
Right.
I don't uh, try heroin to play a heroin addict. I don't believe.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's a good thing, you know. But
Right.
but it yeah, I do feel like um I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
My mind went to like trying heroin. I was like, that was a really bad example, Shan. Like,
Actually, no.
I know. I'm like, okay, this just took a turn for the worse. No, I mean, so I'm not really method actor in that regard. I do insert a lot of my personal experience. I try to compare and, you know, substitute and do those kinds of things. But for the most part, I feel like I have a pretty good sense of being able to just go, okay, that was that. And, you know, maybe I'll think about it more and be in my head in that way. But I don't really let the characters' demeanor kind of take over mine in any way.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think it's always interesting because I mean, like I know actors are vessels for characters, and the amount of stress that must put somebody through emotionally.
Right.
You know, but it also depends on the person. You have the choice to let that happen, and
Yeah.
man, actors, I feel for you guys sometimes.
We're okay. We're all right. Don't worry.
That's fine.
We're fine.
uh, as far as and I'm gonna let you choose because as a person who has done the music side and the acting side, I love a good failed audition or gig story. So I'm just kind of wondering if you have one or the other.
Oh man, do I have one? It's a matter of what one do I choose? But the first one that comes to mind, I think, oh yeah, is for a show I did. I was playing like a residency. I was starting a residency at a place called Genghis Khan, which is this really neat little restaurant bar venue. And I had everything, I'd been rehearsing up until this point. I'm like, this is going to be killer. It's my first show of the residency. We're going to make it great. I'd been practicing, like I have a shaker. I have this whole percussion set up when I sing. And I get there, and right before we get on stage, my shaker isn't around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? But it's my shaker. Like, what am I supposed to do? I know people didn't really understand, but Scott, who's my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, and he was part of my band. He's like, yeah, look, I ran to the car, and he grabbed this like juicy fruit gum container, and because he emptied it, and we were at a restaurant, and it's a Chinese restaurant, and they so graciously put rice in it, and so we made a shaker right before I went on stage, and all was well, but up to that point I was so livid. I'm like, how could I forget the most important? So yeah, it turned out, needless to say, no one really thought anything of it.
I'm not going up until I get my shaker.
I need my shaker, damn it.
It's I totally get, like, it's more like the mental process of I'm not complete. I'm not a complete performer unless I have, this certain thing.
Oh, it's so true. Attachment, that's the toughest thing in life, I think, for me, for sure. But yeah, just as small a detail as a shaker, and I just felt unraveled.
There you go. I bet, those things are like hand size, so probably nobody could really see it if you're.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think it affected the bottom line before.
We loved your performance, but we really loved that shaker solo you had.
Yeah, show us that.
And you have a couple of things coming out. One is a new single.
Yeah, it's actually already out.
It's out right now.
Yeah. It's called Connect, and it's we wrote it in the first month of lockdown, of quarantine, and then we shot a music video for it at our home, and that was a very interesting process. Just kind of learning how to be an entire crew of people while one was in front of camera. But it was a great experience, and yeah, it's been received really well, the song. I gather you haven't had a chance to take a listen.
I did. I was watching the video. I wasn't sure if it was a private link or not. I thought I was special. And ooh.
You are special. and it wasn't a private link.
Oh, okay. Well,
right.
1 out of 2. That's not bad. But no, and I was looking at it, and again, this is why I love. Well, I don't love the situation we're in, but this is why I ask people if their creative juices are flowing, because nowadays we have the technology to produce all this stuff. So if you producing an entire song and video, like that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. It is quite amazing that back in the day when I first moved here, that would not have been possible. But everyone has their own home studios now, and everything is so accessible.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse or reason why things can't get done other than a learning curve, really. Mm-hmm. Having to learn new skills and that kind of thing. But my mum always says where there's a will, there's a way. And we definitely really, really wanted to shoot this and make it work. So we did. We learned everything we needed to.
There you go. There you go.
And
And
more credit than I should. It's hey, my husband Scott really did most of that work. But
yeah, no, and as a person who does um, film editing, yeah, I think it's good. So
thank,
I'm there with you.
thank you.
And then you have another a movie that came out, Me and My Left Brain.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime now.
Mm-hmm.
I shot that in Australia about 2 years ago, and they did an Aussie release last year, which I flew down for. That was really fun. But it's a cute rom-com,
Yeah.
um, Woody Allen-esque type of film, and it was super fun to be a part of.
As somebody who was born in the 80s but grew up in the 90s, I miss those 90s rom-coms. I what was I was watching One Fine Day a couple
Oh,
of weeks ago, and I was just like, why can't this be a thing again?
yes, I'm so with you. I loved that movie. I even have the soundtrack. I was
Oh,
such a fan of rom-coms of the 90s and their soundtracks. Like, yeah. Mm.
and it was funny because I was thinking about this, like, the the ingredients for a 90s rom-com was get two up and coming or hot movie stars, find a song title that's the title of the movie and the theme song, boom.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And if you couldn't, then get Celine Dion to write a song with
Yes.
your title. Yeah, with your film title. Yes.
Yes, there and done.
Yeah.
that was James Cameron's pitch for Titanic.
Uh,
He's like, I'll have Celine Dion. I don't know. We'll work it out. Don't worry.
wow. Wow. Well, that went well.
Yeah, just a little bit. But for people at home who want to follow you online and stay connected, no pun, with you, where can they do all that?
Well, I'm most active on Instagram if I had to choose a social media platform, and my handle is Chantelligence on that. So no judgment, please.
That
And
that's an album title right there.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Hmm.
That's an album. That's a book.
Ooh.
That's something right there.
Ooh. All right. All right. I'm keeping that in my mind. Thank
Okay,
you.
just give me like a kudos. I'm not asking for money. I'm just
Oh,
asking for thanks.
you got it. And if there's any extra dough, I'll send it your way. But
All right,
yeah,
that's send me some chips.
chips. Oh, chips. You will see.
I give
And
out my best ideas for free. I'm that guy. So
that's really good of you. Yeah,
yeah.
I appreciate people like you. Thank you. And otherwise, my website chantellebarry.com.
There you
People
go.
can find out what's new and what's going on.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much for spending time to chat with me. Anytime you want to come back on and just chat again, I'd be happy to have you back.
I would love that. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your time. This was a really great conversation.
Oh,
Really fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad. But I'll let you go and continue to stay creative, safe, and healthy. All right.
I appreciate it. You as well. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.